We were really excited to participate in the Get Set for Net Zero Brunch because we really value the partnership we have with Property Week and the other outstanding people that are on the panel today and part of the crowd. We really think represent the right cross-section of stakeholders to have this conversation with so we can help plant the ideas and help move this industry forward.
Hollis is really happy to host the brunch with Property Week today to talk about the road to net zero because it's really important to get everyone speaking about this subject. So we talked during the panel about how MIPIM was maybe more traditionally, or a lot of talk about finance and funding for projects, and we said, well, this topic is also really important, and we see really that it's grown in importance as well. So people are really coming to these events. They want to learn more about what does it mean to reach net zero, how do we reach it, how do we collaborate together.
Attending the Net Zero Brunch is so important because it brings like-minded people together, and as we've spoken around, it's all around collaboration and enforcing change and getting that information out of our customers, prospects and asset management and owners to really enforce and drive change. So what we're seeing is more and more obviously legislations coming through, which actually hopefully are kind of on a macro government collaboration part, but also the collaborative pieces around driving that change and making sure that we have got efficient assets. In ways that that's done, again, is through kind of access to capital, more investment into buildings, and making sure that these buildings aren't actually getting stranded or going into the brown discounting.
Collaboration is key in our mind. We have to help solve a certain set of problems for many different stakeholders.
The issues that we have to address and the problems we're trying to address to move towards net zero is really starting the collection of data, understanding the built environment and then moving forward from there. There's still a lot of work being done on that across the sector, and once you have that baseline you can begin to influence change. We're seeing that within our care homes portfolio. We're undertaking whole life carbon assessments across the portfolio, forming baselines, and with that data set you can really influence with your developer partners the choice of materials, the procurement routes, the operations of the building rather, as you move towards an operational zero real estate position as well.
Collaboration is really important to net zero because it's not just going to come from one party. It doesn't come from real estate owners. It doesn't come from real estate occupiers. Everyone really needs to work together to meet these goals. And that's something that we see every day, especially with new whole building targets like the CREM target. It's not looking just at the landlord's energy use or the tenant's energy use, but we're looking at the whole building energy use. And so we'll see very often where maybe the landlord wants to do something to make improvements to the building, but they can only do so much. They need the tenants' involvement as well, and it's a great reason to collaborate. So a really good reason to get the conversation, a really good talking point, usually mutually beneficial and of both parties' interests. So we see that as like a really good starting point. And also a great reason to sort of look at the tenant engagement piece as well. Are your tenants happy? Are the occupiers happy with where they are? And if not, what can you guys do together that will mutually meet your goals?
And I think what we need is zero, because the change is really going to be driven by the private sector, actually. And what the sector needs is actually clarity of what is the regulatory direction, what is a correct standard that we all align to as a sector. Once we have that common goal, then private capital really begin to drive change through in the built sector.
So there's lots of uncertainty in the market in terms of legislation. Throughout the UK and Europe, throughout the world, it's really also different in every country and region as well, which is where the guidance has stepped into place. So we've got organizations like the RICS or the UK GBC or SBTI, many others coming together to set their own standards, which is really important that we've got some guidance coming from somewhere. The Better Building Partnership as well, I should say, puts forward really good guidance, which is great. Everyone's trying to do something, but then one of the challenges that we have is which guidance should we choose? So that's a question that not only we have, but our clients have as well in terms of which guidance should they align with, which guidance should they choose. And it's starting to sort of coalesce around a few key topics and a few key pieces, which is really helpful for us. So, everyone can agree on the standard that we're trying to reach and agree where we're going. So we started to see that happen, and I think that's just going to continue to happen, which will be a really important factor for our industry to reach their net zero goals.
I'm very personally optimistic about the future of net zero and ESG. It's really reinforced how I think about that being here at MIPIM this week. So the way the investor community thinks about it, the way the property owners think about it, and we also hear, because we work most closely with them, how the big corporate entities think about it. So we serve some 70% of the Fortune 500 in the United States and a growing share of the bigger corporates in Europe. And they're all making these public commitments. So I'm still hearing even though you hear things like there might be a slowdown in adoption of EVs this year, there are challenges with sort of grid upgrades, we still hear all these people saying the same things about their level of commitment, about their willingness to make that work in the near term, and how they're preparing for that for the future. So I'm actually very optimistic.